I was born in a shotgun shack on the rough side of the railroad tracks in the toughest neighborhood in Miami, Overtown. I grew up on a street called Bucket of Blood, and it earned that name. My grandmother was a maid for 52 years, on her knees, scrubbing other people's floors and raising other people's children. My daddy was a mailman by occupation, but he was a Marine drill sergeant by personality. He told me and my two brothers to love America, even though America did not love us. I attended staunchly segregated second-class schools from kindergarten through 12th grade. I didn't know what a Bunsen burner was till I got to college. In February of 1964, I applied to attend the University of Florida. I haven't received this response yet. I'm sure it's coming. It was only historically black Florida A&M University that opened the vaults of educational opportunity for me, changed my life, and changed the lives of everyone in my family after me. Everyone in my family. I was the first person in my family to go onto a college campus. I'm not talking about enrolling. Since I finished college, everyone in my family who has become of age has graduated from college. I graduated in 1968 with a major in mathematics and a minor in physics. And upon graduation, it was the first time that my America had told me I could go to the front of the line. When I got to the front of the line, I realized it was a beeline for the jungles of Vietnam, where for 400 days at the age of 22, I woke up believing that it was more likely than not that I would be killed that day. My youngest brother had gone to Vietnam in 1967, and he came back. My middle brother went to Vietnam in 1968, and he came back. So there I was on the first day in 1969 as a math major, trying to calculate what's the odds of three brothers from the same family all going to Vietnam and all coming back, and I'm it. But through the grace of God, I came back. And as I began to search for a job, another math major, who was my neighbor, told me on August 4th of 1970 that he was going to law school. I was shocked. Law school? And then he really laid it down. He said, yes. I said, were you going to Howard? He said, no, I'm going to the University of Miami. I cannot express to you in words how earth-shattering that was. The University of Miami is admitting black people? He said, well, this is the first class. And I said, well, if this is the first class, I'm going to be in it. And he said, well, I don't want to be a dream buster, but today is August 4th. The classes were closed in April. So I said, well, I appreciate your advice. I got into my little Volkswagen Bug and I drove to the law school. And I found where the thing, we didn't have GPS. So I drove around till I found the law school. And I went in and I told the secretary, I want to see the dean. And she looked down at the calendar and said, the dean doesn't have any appointments today. I said, he does now. I'm here to see the dean. And so she got on the phone and was whispering, and I said, I'm going to jail, but it's going to be worth it. And so I sat there for like 3 or 4 hours, and they had an application on the desk for next year. And so I struck out those dates and put this year. And so while I was, while I was waiting for I noticed it was only one door in and out, so he had to come out. And so I sat there for 3 or 4 hours, and finally, the dean did come out. And he said to his secretary, Evelyn, let me see his file. She said, he don't have no file. So he said, what did you make on the LSAT? I had not heard of the LSAT. But I know not to tell him that. So I said, sir, as a Southern gentleman, I'm sure you're going to invite me into your office to sit down and talk man to man. He said, oh, yeah, come on in. So I said, let me tell you my story. And I told him my story, which is a typical story of people of my age, like Chambliss and others, and Brother Foster and others, who it's always no, back of the bus. You can't try on clothes. You can't go to this high school. You can't go to this university. And so I said, Dean, I'm not going to be told no anymore. And I'm going to look you in the eyes and tell you this, and I hope you hear me. For the past 400 days, I was prepared to give my life for my country. And to get in this law school, I'm prepared to give my life for me. So you do what you got to do, because I'm prepared to do what I got to do. And so for the next 6 hours, he and I negotiated. And about 11 o'clock that night, he and I signed this letter with these words in it. Your case, to my knowledge, is without precedent here at our School of Law. Therefore, in my judgment, it is worthy of special consideration. Therefore, in my judgment, if upon receipt of your transcript from Florida A&M University, I didn't even have a transcript. Your undergraduate record satisfies our minimum requirement in the form of grade point average. You will be admitted conditionally upon taking and passing the next law school admission test. So, what am I here to tell you? Everybody in my family, all of my friends told me that it was impossible. My dream of being in that first class of black law students was impossible. But guess what? Their opinion of my dreams is none of my business. My response was, to me, impossible means it just ain't been done yet. It ain't possible no more because I did it. Two things I want to leave you with. One, what all of us who have been privileged to be honored tonight want to tell you is that Charles Hamilton Houston's plea to us that a black lawyer is either a social engineer or a parasite in his community In law school, you are trained to lead and called to serve. And it doesn't matter whether you're a prosecutor or a public defender, private practice, or whether you're on Wall Street, you have an obligation to serve your community, an obligation to give back to your community. I just finished reading a book called Devil in the Grove, and I want to end it with this. In the book Devil in the Grove, about a lynching an individual who was clearly innocent of crimes, but he was uppity black man because he had his own business. And Thurgood Marshall came down there, and a guy handed Thurgood Marshall a letter. And I want you, pre-law students, I want you to take this as a metaphor, as a letter that your community is sending to you. And let me paraphrase the letter. The letter said, Mr. Turgood, Turgoo, I heard that you is the #1 Negro of all time. I heard that you got these white folks on the run. The problem is, Mr. Turgood, you got them running toward me. And I need you to run them away from me, because down here in the South, they ain't heard nothing about no Supreme Court or any other kind of court. You black people up in New York, y'all got basements. Y'all duck in a basement when they come after y'all. We ain't got no basements or places to hide. They just come get us and tar and feather us and kill us. So, Mr. Turgood, please come back to the South. We need you. And the PS is, this is John's wife writing to you, because he cannot read or write, but he got damn good sense. And we need you. And pre-law students, we need you. And so make as much money as you can possibly make, but do good. You can do good and do well. And that's what our challenge is to you. Carry on the torch. We wish you the best. Thank you.